If you clicked on this video, there's a reason for it. This video has the opportunity to save you from a lot of headaches and prevent you from making all the crucial mistakes that I have in my trading journey. If you guys don't know who I am, my name's Jack. Most of you guys know me as J-Dub Trades. I've been trading for 5+ years now. 3 of those years have been profitable, and I'm also a full-time day trader. In today's video, I'm going to share with you some of the top lessons that I've learned in the past 5 years to help you guys accelerate your learning curve. There's a bunch of important lessons that I'm going to be going through in this video, so make sure to watch the full video. I know this is not your typical strategy video. It's going to be pretty boring, but I feel like this is very important, and if you guys do stick to the end, I have an important announcement to make as well. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. The first lesson I want to talk about is that there's no such thing as the Holy Grail. You guys hear it all the time on social media. People love using it. Your favorite influencers, your favorite gurus, they love using the term the Holy Grail, right? There's no such thing as the Holy Grail trading indicator, a Holy Grail trading strategy. There's nothing that exists like that. I promise you, if there was something that was the Holy Grail trading indicator that could tell you when to buy and sell, I promise that they would not be selling it on social media, or they would not be showing it to you guys, and they would actually go out and use it for themselves. But obviously that doesn't exist. If they did exist, they wouldn't be telling you guys. That's number one. Number two is that there's no such thing as a Holy Grail trading strategy. There's no such thing as one strategy being better than another. You guys hear it all the time, right? You have your support and resistance traders, your supply and demand, ICT, SMC. Everyone has their own and unique strategy, and there's no strategy that's better than another. You hear people all the time talk about, I have the best strategy, and that you can only use a strategy to make money in the markets. And that's just not true. It doesn't matter what strategy you trade. I know plenty of traders that make money trading support and resistance, supply and demand, that trade indicators, that trade SMC. It doesn't matter what trading strategy you use, as long as you have a solid and repeatable strategy and system that has an edge in the markets and you have solid risk management, you can make money using whatever strategy you want. So don't listen to all the people that tell you guys that I have one strategy that's better than another, because that's just not the case. A lot of times, especially at the beginning of your trading journey, is that you have to find out your strategy. So you have to find out what works your personality, what type of strategy and what type of trader you want to be. And the main thing is to stick to that strategy, refine it, and have an edge in the markets. A lot of you guys will hop from strategy to strategy, and that's one of the main mistakes that beginner traders make, is that they stick to a strategy, they haven't perfected the strategy, and as soon as they start to lose, what do? They hop onto a strategy that they feel like is shinier, that's better. And what you have to understand is that no strategy and no system is going to have a 100% win rate. No strategy is ever going to work in all market conditions. So that's why you have to adapt your strategy, understand what type of market conditions your strategy works best in, and refine your system and your edge to your best of your abilities. Because at the end of the day, trading is all about probabilities. And it doesn't matter what strategy you have, there's never going to be a 100% win rate. It's never going to work 100% of the time. It's not going to work in all market conditions. And that doesn't mean that your strategy is not profitable. Your strategy is profitable if you have a 50% win rate and a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. What you have to understand is that it's not going to work all the time. You can take multiple losers in a row and your strategy will still be profitable in the long term. As long as you stick to that strategy and execute it over and over again, that's when you're going to become profitable. If you start hopping from strategy to strategy, you're never going to have an edge in the markets, and you're just going to keep flip-flopping. You're never going to have consistency. You're never going to have proper risk management. You're never really going to have any idea what you're going to do in the markets, and you're really just always gambling and finding that next Holy Grail that I was talking about that just doesn't exist. No strategy is going to win 100% of the time, and that's just what I want you guys to know. So with that being said, I just want to go into my second point, which is comparison is the thief of joy, right? That's a great quote that is applicable to life and in trading in general. You guys see all the time on social media, if you guys ever go on Twitter, Instagram, you see all these big traders, especially on Twitter, right at the start, is that you guys might look at other people and you might ask yourself and question yourself, what are you doing wrong? Right? You can be profitable and you can be on the right path, but whenever you compare yourself to others that are way ahead of you, that are way above you, you're going to question yourself and ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I be at that level? And you're going to start questioning yourself, and that's the worst thing, because you're comparing yourself to others. They're way ahead of you. They've been in the game for much longer than you have. And whenever you just see those flashy gains, you see the lifestyle, right? That's when you can get thrown off track, because you want to get to where they are, but you really want to be be at that level without actually putting in the work, right? That's a good comparison, is because you can see the flashy lifestyle, you can see the huge P&L, but you want to get to that level, and you know you can get to that level, but you want to skip the process because you're so fixated on making money that you're not focused on the process, right? You're trying to get to where they're at without putting in the necessary work, and you feel like you should be where they're at because you're putting in the work, right? And you gain a little bit of success, but they've been in this game a lot longer than you have. And it's just a part where when you compare yourself to others, it's the worst thing in the world, right? Because there's always going to be someone better than you. You can be doing good, you could be green, you could be following your system, but when you start comparing yourself to others, right, that can be very demotivating at times. It all depends how you take it. Me personally, whenever I used to go on social media and I used to see these big gains and being big P&Ls, right, it was kind of demotivating for me because I used to have really nice green days, but whenever I looked at other gurus or other influencers online, their P&Ls would be 10x bigger than mine. And I would just be so demotivated that I thought that there was something wrong with me. I was like, why can't I be where they're at? And I was trying to force the process. I was trying to get to where they're at in the shortest period amount of time. And that's a lot of the times where you can go wrong because you can start sizing up. You see other people have these huge P&Ls and you can start sizing up without having the psychology and the actual mental fortitude to be able to handle those bigger sizes. And that's where you can go wrong, because whenever you compare yourself to others, right, you're comparing them to step 10 where you're at step 2, right? You can't compare yourself to people that have been in the game for that long, right? Especially if you're a beginner. You don't want to compare yourself to others, right? Especially in trading, especially actually in all facets of life, because comparison really is a thief of joy, right? If you compare yourself to others, you're never going to be satisfied. You're never going to be happy in life. And really, what's the point of making money when you're not satisfied, right? You can be making a very good living, right? The main goal of a trader, especially at the very beginning, the main goal as a trader, especially one of my goals, was to make as much as I made if I was to come out of university. So if that would be $60,000, if I was to make $60,000 in trading, I would be very satisfied, because that would have been the same amount I would have made if I came out of university and had a really good job, right? But when I got to that 60,000, right, I would compare myself to others, and I'd see on social media, some people were making $60,000 in a day, and I was just questioning myself, why couldn't I get to that level? And sometimes sometimes I can hurt you. So you just have to understand that you want to focus on yourself, right? You want to focus on your trading journey. How are you doing? And compare it to where you were the past previous year, right? As long as you're improving and you don't look at other people, that's what should be the determinant for your success, right? If you were better than where you were a year ago, if you're progressing better than where you were a year ago. A lot of the time, social media, there's a lot of benefits to social media, right? Especially with education, right? Networking, there's a lot of things that go into social media, but at the same time, right, trading, you don't really need social media. Trading's a lonely game. You really just need yourself, and sometimes, especially if you can go into social media, especially if you're down on the day and you see other people have all the big green days, because social media is really, everyone just posts all their wins, right? Social media is just a place where they just show all of the good lifestyle. They show the 10%, right? They don't show the 90% of them putting in the hard work. They don't show the 90% of them losing, right? All they show is the gains, the flashy lifestyle, and that's just not realistic. As a trader, right, you're gonna have losing trades. You're gonna have losing days. You're gonna have losing weeks. You're gonna have losing months, right? That's the reality of trading, is you're gonna lose. If you're a full-time day trader and you're actually a real trader, you're gonna lose in the markets. But you see sometimes on social media, you feel like some of these traders never lose. They'll be on these green streaks for months on at a time, and that's just not realistic. If you're a real trader, you're gonna have losing trades. You're gonna have losing periods. You're gonna have drawdown periods. But I feel like so many of these people online, right, they make it seem like you're never going to lose in trading, right, if you're a full-time trader, and that's just not the case. Most of these traders that I know that have actually personally traded with real funds, right, they make majority of their money 3 to 4 months of the year, right? They make 70% of their money in 3 to 4 months of the year, right, in those hot periods, and majority of the times, right, they're break even, they could be losing money, and they're just waiting for those hot periods, right? You're not going to make money every single month of the year. That's just not the case, right? You have different market cycles. You have different periods of the markets where your strategy and your system is not going to be as effective. So in those periods, right, you got to de-size, you got to de-leverage, and you got to figure out, and you got to play defense, right? Not everything is going to be offense. I'm kind of rambling on here. So I just kind of want to end it off with, just don't compare yourself to others on social media, because that can be or don't compare yourself to others in general, right? Once you have your system in place, once you find your edge in the markets, really get off social media. There's no reason for you to be on social media. Just focus on your trading, focus on yourself. And if you find a trading community, right, make sure that it's a good trading community that's supportive, that's transparent, that wants you to succeed, and that is actually showing the real sides of trading. And I feel like a lot of people don't really do that, and you need to find people that are actually transparent and that are real traders in the markets. And that really brings me to my next point, is that psychology and mental aspect of trading is that you hear it all the time. People say trading is 80% psychology and 20% technicals. And that is very true. But most people, where they get it wrong is that they feel like they have a psychology problem. Because if you hear people talk about the psychology being 80% of the time, right? That is very correct, but once you have that system and that strategy in place, then that's when your psychology matters. A lot of people, I feel like, are too fixated on the psychology aspect of trading without having a proper system and strategy in place. When you first start trading, you have to have an edge in the markets, right? To succeed and to become profitable, you have to have an edge in the markets. If you don't have an edge in the markets, right, it doesn't matter what type of psychology you have, you're not going to become profitable. So you have to be able to find that proper system and have that proper psychology and edge in place, right? Also with risk management as well, before you focus on that psychology. That's why I always preach having a proper system and having a playbook as well. A lot of people don't understand that when you're a trader and you have a solid strategy. I personally trade the break and retest. Within the break and retest, right, that break and retest is my strategy. Within that strategy, I have all different sorts of setups in place that really come towards my system, that really make up my system, right? The system is the setups, the system is the risk management, the system is the edge, right? It's the psychology, it's everything put together. And that playbook is so important, right? Having those playbooks and understanding what type of setups are best in what type of market conditions, right? I have a full playbook basically laid out on all different types of setups, right? Within the break and retest, I have about 10 to 15 different types of break and retest setups that go into my trading. So every single day, I'm asking myself, what type of setup do I have coming to market open? Do I have the gap and go? Do I have the gap fill? Do I have a dip and rip, a pop and drop? Do I have the opening drive play? Do I have the opening range break and retest? Do I have a previous day high and low break and retest? What type of break and retest do I have? And what is the best setup that I can play during that day? And that is basically based off of my system, right? Based off a set criteria coming into the day and based off a bunch of things that I look for intraday wise as well, right? When I have that playbook, I look at the intraday fundamentals, I look at the order flow, right? I look at the relative weakness and strength. What type of entry model do I have? What type of risk management? There's so many things that go into becoming a profitable and successful trader, right? It's not just having one strategy, your break and retest, and you go out and try and use the break and retest on whatever levels, right? That's not going to have consistency in the long term. The consistency is when you come from back testing your system, journaling your system, and having those statistics where you can look back on and build your playbook, right? Having a playbook is so important. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about your playbook when it comes to trading. The playbook is one of the most important things that you have to have in order to become a profitable trader. And also as well, I always talk about having your playbook and being able to identify your high probability setups versus low probability setups, right? What type of market conditions are you in? Those A+ setups that I hit 1 to 2 times a month make majority of my P&L. So 1 to 2 setups a month make majority of my P&L, and the rest of the time I'm scalping, I'm light size, I'm really breaking even or maybe winning on a little bit of the scalps, but all my money comes, majority, at least 50% of my P&L comes from those A+ setups. And being able to identify those A+ setups and when they come is so very important, because those A+ setups, right, they don't come often, but when they do come, you have to be able to execute on those setups properly. So having a playbook is very important. And then after you develop your playbook, right, that's when the psychology comes in, right? That's when you start refining your edge, understanding what type of psychology and how you are as a person. One of the greatest books I feel like you guys should read for sure is The Mental Game of Trading by Jared Tendler. He really talks about the psychology of trading and how it's very important. But after you develop your system, right, you have your mental game, you have your A game, B game, and C game, right? It's basically broken up into 3 phases, right? Your A game is when your mind is in the flow state, where you're trading the best, you're seeing the market very clearly. Your B game is when you're not the best, but you're not the worst, right? You're kind of maybe winning, maybe losing, but you're kind of breaking even. And then your C game, being able to identify your C game when you're emotional, when you're not seeing the market well, when you're not reading the market well, when you're not identifying key levels, you can't really see the order flow properly, right? That's when you have to identify when to step back off the gas. And I feel like that book is very important. It really describes everything that has to do with the mental side of trading. And that's also very important. And being able to identify those emotions. And another thing to mention as well, once you have those emotions in place, the psychology is very important. And a lot of people don't understand is that the psychology is everything, because as traders and as humans, right, you're going to experience emotions, right? You're going to experience fear and greed. And that's just the human nature of trading. And you have to be able to use those emotions and apply it to your actual every single day trading, right? You have to be able to identify what those emotions are telling you and use them to your trading properly. A lot of people try and avoid those emotions, right? Whenever you're feeling negative, they try and stop feeling negative. But you have to ask yourself why you're feeling negative, what are the reasons behind your feeling negative, and use those reasons to better your trading. If you're emotional, you're feeling FOMO, you have the fear of missing out or your fear of losing, right? Ask yourself, why are you feeling that, right? What are those deep rooted emotions inside of you, right? Why are you feeling this way? And then use those emotions to your advantage, right? And if you don't use those emotions to your advantage, then you're really not helping yourself, because you're always going to feel those emotions, right? I feel like a lot of people misunderstand as well. When you're a profitable trader and you're a successful trader, is that you don't feel these type of emotions, which is completely not true. You're always going to feel fear, greed, no matter who you are. You're just going to feel it to a less of an extent, right? Even when you do feel fear and greed, it's all about how you use those emotions to your advantage, right? When I was a beginner trader, when I was feeling FOMO, what would I do? I would go out and take another trade, right? I would go out, revenge trade, potentially take setups that aren't within my system, and I'll lose money because I was feeling FOMO. But if I feel FOMO now, what do? I step away from the screens. I don't take any trades that are not within my system, because I understand that FOMO is not going to help me out in the long run, right? If I'm feeling FOMO, I got to do something to combat that FOMO, right? I got to do things that don't give in to me actually revenge trading, taking setups that aren't inside my system. So I literally just go for a walk, maybe I take a break, maybe I take a sip of water, and just go do things that are take my brain off of feeling FOMO. So that's mainly what I do, right? And that's how you should focus in on trading, is that if you have emotions and you understand those emotions, right, ask yourself why you're feeling those emotions and use those emotions to your advantage. It's all about how you react to those emotions, right? You can feel emotions as humans, but it's all about how you react to those emotions is the main thing, right? You can feel FOMO, you can feel greedy, but as long as you don't act on those emotions, those fear and greed, right, that's when you can have that consistency in the long term. Another part of being emotional is really being unattached to money, right? As a trader, you have to be unattached to money, right? It's really harder said than done, but for me personally, the way I was able to scale to where I'm at now is being unattached to money, right? And knowing that it's all about the process over the profits. You guys know this, and you guys don't really have to, you guys really already know this, right? A lot of the stuff that I'm telling you guys, right, you kind of subconsciously know this and you guys understand it, but you just need someone to hold you accountable and tell you guys really that this is what it's like, right? You have to focus on the process over the profits. If you guys focus on the profits aren't going to come because you're so fixated on making money. But if you have the process, you understand the process, and you understand that over a long period of time, if you follow your system, you follow your rules, you follow your risk management, that you will make money, right? No matter what you do, no matter, it's in business, it's in life, right? It's in trading, right? No matter how you want to do things in life, right? You have to focus on the process and the profits will come. If you focus on the outcome, then it's going to be so much harder because you're so fixated on that and you're not focused on what it actually takes to get there. Especially when it comes to trading, I know everyone, when you come into the markets, you're only focused on the profits, right? And that's why majority of traders lose in this game, is because they're so fixated on making money that they're not going to make money in the long term. But if you focus on how to actually make the money, right, what goes into making money, right, following your edge, following your rules, right, following your setups every single day. Does this setup align with my system and strategy, right? Is it proper risk management? Is it the proper market conditions, right? If you understand, and that really comes from backtesting over time and having confidence and really understanding, right? The more experience you have, the more you'll understand what I'm saying is true, and right, what everyone else is saying is true as well, is that you have to focus on the process in order to make the profits, really. And that's being unattached to the money, right? And that's how you can scale quickly, is that you really have to focus on the mental side of things, right? That's where the psychology comes in, because if you are unattached to money and you understand that it's kind of just a numbers game, right? If you understand it's a numbers game, that's where the scaling can come in as well. And that's how I was able to scale so quickly, was because I was just so fixated on actually executing my setup every single day and actually executing my process over and over again. And that's how you make money in the markets, is being able to do that. And that's where it comes into my other point, is being able to scale, right? You'll come to a point in your trading journey when you start getting profitable, is that scaling, and that's just a mental hurdle that you kind of have to go over. And that's just really about being unattached to money and understanding that it's all about your system, right? It's all about your edge, right? Process over the profits, and scaling comes with a numbers game, right? You can only scale once you prove to yourself that you're consistently profitable. And when you do scale, right, the hurdles that you're going to get over is that you want to scale so quickly, because once you have an edge in the markets, you're going to feel like you can scale right away. Because it's the same thing. How you make $100 is the exact same thing as how you're going to make $1,000 and you're going to make $10,000, right? It's the exact same thing. So why can't you just go from $1,000 to $10,000 right away? And the issue is all about your mental, right? You can't just go from $1,000 to $10,000, even though it's this exact same thing, right? It's a slow mechanical process that's going to take a while, right? You have to be able to handle that mental fortitude and being able to handle that mental pressure that comes with scaling. Because scaling, right, you can't just double your position size just like that, because your mental is not going to be able to handle that, right? You're not used to seeing those drawdowns of using double the risk, right? It might seem all fancy that you can make double the money, triple the money super quickly once you have your edge, once you have your system. But have you ever thought about losing double and triple the money? No, because you're not able to handle that, right? Your emotions aren't able to handle that, right? You haven't been able to experience that. So it's all about experience and taking time, right? Everything good in life and in trading, right, takes time. And that's especially true when it comes to trading. There's no reason to rush the process. When you're trading, right, it's all about the long game, the longevity, and there's no reason to make money so quick. What's the difference between making, let's say, 100,000 this year and 100,000 next year, right? It doesn't really make that big of a difference, right? For some of you, right, you might say, oh, I'd rather make the money right away, right? Of course, why? Who wouldn't want to make the money right away? But that's just not how it works, right? You have to be able to understand that you don't know what the market's going to give you on a day-to-day basis, right? You don't know if the market's going to present opportunities, right? Present opportunities tomorrow. It could present opportunities next week, next month, right? You don't know when the market's going to present the opportunities for you. So that's why it's all about the longevity and understanding that's about a long game. I was so fixated at the very beginning of making money so fast. But once I understood and really looked at it from a broader lens perspective, I understood that there was no real rush, right? The markets are always going to be here, right? The markets are open every single day. There's always going to be opportunities. You guys can always step back, right? I was so fixated on trying to not miss the opportunities and being at the screens all the time that it kind of forced me to miss a bunch of opportunities, because I was so fixated on nailing every single setup. Especially at the beginning, when you get into trading, you want to be glued to the screens at all times. You want to capture every minuscule price action move, whereas me now personally, right, I look for those high quality setups. I don't like to capture those small movements, because I understand, right, those small movements over time, I don't make that much money. I make money over those A+ quality setups. So just being able to identify that and understand that trading is all about longevity, and that scaling is going to take time, and that everything is going to take time in general. And yeah, that really brings me to my last point, is really journaling. And journaling is honestly one of the most important parts when it comes to trading, is that you have to learn from your mistakes. One of my favorite quotes is by Albert Einstein, is insanity, right? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? And that's the same thing as trading, because a lot of you guys, right, especially at the beginning, right, you'll make the same mistakes over and over again, right? You know you'll make the same mistakes, and you'll be so frustrated about yourself because you're so fixated on making the money that you'll make the same simple mistakes over and over again, and you'll be so frustrated with yourself, and you'll feel like you're going insane because you're making these simple, easy mistakes. You'll be stuck in this vicious cycle, right? You'll have a string of good trading days, and then you'll end up losing all that money in one day, right? You'll win, lose it in one day, win, lose it in one day, and you'll feel like there's something internally wrong with you. and you feel like you're just going insane because you're doing the exact same thing. You know what you have to do, but you're doing the exact same thing over and over again. And that's really just comes from journaling, understanding yourself. And right, it's going to take a while, right? It took a while for me. I made the same mistake hundreds of times before I was able to really learn from that mistake, right? That's where the journaling comes in, and really being able to learn from your actual trades, right? Your emotions, right? Your actual statistics, and really journaling and writing down every single day and reflecting upon, as long as you're making improvements, right? Journaling is all about really reflecting upon yourself, seeing if you're making improvements, because as a trader, right, you really shouldn't be making the same mistakes over and over again, right? It's obviously human nature to make the same things, but at a point, right, you're gonna have a point where you make the same things over and over again so many times that you're either gonna stop doing it or you're gonna quit, right? And I was at that point where I kept on doing the exact same things over and over again because I wanted to make the money, as I talked about. It really was just this mental shift in my head that was able to allow me to really change my trading trajectory, and that was just by journaling and understanding oneself and really just digging deep into what my core flaws were, right? And that's where that psychology comes in, the journaling, and just understanding a lot about myself. And that takes time, right? That you can't speed up that process. And that's why journaling is so important. And journaling your statistics, journaling every single day, right? Just understanding yourself. And I feel like that's just so important when it comes to trading, is that journaling aspect. And a lot of people overlook that, right? Because that's not really what makes you the money, is the journaling. What makes you the money is the system, everything that goes into the journaling, right? The journaling is stuff that you don't really want to do, but it's the necessary work that you have to put in every single day in order to become successful. It's not flashy, but it's necessary. And a lot of times, right, the things that you don't want to do, the flashy stuff, is what's actually going to change your trading trajectory and what's really going to help you in the long term. So I really just wanted to end off with that. And that's really the end of the video right there, right? Going over the journaling, the psychology, right? Just some of the lessons that I've learned in the past 5 years that could probably help you. I hope you guys took something out of this video, and I hope you've learned something out of this video. And as I said, right, not the flashiest video, but if you guys did make it to the end of the video, as I mentioned, I do have an announcement to make, and I'm going to be hosting a free webinar next week on June the 20th, going over exactly how to go from an unprofitable to profitable trader. It's going to be hosted on June 20th, next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys do want to join that webinar, it is free, so it's going to be in the link in the description below. So if you guys do want to attend that webinar, you guys can go and make sure and do that. As always, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.